2 minutes, speaker sir. I'm trying to go live on YouTube. Once I do that, then we will commence the meeting, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Because in case if somebody is having difficulty accessing Zoom, they can use YouTube also. The link will be shared in the members group.
Sir, I am not in the members group.
Please drop a message to me, ma'am. I will include you in the group. 2 minutes, speaker sir. I'm trying to go live on YouTube. Once I do that, then we will commence the meeting, sir. Because in case if some
நைட் மீல்ஸ் என்ன பண்ண போறேன்?
நைட் 500 கம்மியாக தான் சார்.
sir, I think we are all set. Good evening, members. I think first I should say that it is so very brave of you without the extension being announced by the department yet, you have managed to attend this session, take time off for our learning. Because as once I read about Abraham Lincoln when he was told that if you give me 8 hours to cut a tree, I will take 6 hours to sharpen the saw, so that in one blow the tree can be cut. So though we are in the process of cutting trees, we should not forget that we should also sharpen the saw. These kind of sessions help us keep us abreast of what is happening, and as well as to sharpen our mental saw. So I think who better to address the topic which is bordering on the litigations, and the accomplished speaker, Mr. Bharat. None of our members are meeting Bharat for the first time. He is already a member, and he is a person who is accomplished indirect tax practitioner. So with that few words, I request Bharat to enlighten us on today's topic. Bharat, over to you. I have already made you the co-host. You can share the screen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think the screen is visible, sir.
Yes, Bharat, it's clear.
Good evening, all members. Thank you for joining for this session. I am indeed privileged when Shankar Narayan sir told that this is going to be the first meeting of the International Chamber of GST Professionals. In short, after the name change, this is going to be first meeting. So I deem it as my privilege to be here to address this meeting. The topic of today's discussion is notices and summons from GST department and detailed discussion on responses to be submitted. To the extent possible, wherever the updates are there, and to the limited knowledge of my experience, I have dealt here. A lot of experienced professionals are also there in the member side. Wherever any update is there, wherever if any mistake is there, kindly please feel free to point out in between the session so that members get the updated information. With this brief, let me enter into the topic. What we are going to see today is mode of communications, letters, notices, and summons under GST. I'll straight away go to rule number 142. Notice and order for demand of amounts payable under the Act. 142.1 says the proper officer shall serve along with the notice issued under section so and so a summary thereof electronically inform GST DRC 01. When there is a statement of demand under 73.3 or 74.3, then he needs to give GST DRC 02 specifying therein the details of the amount payable. When we read this rule as such, normally we tend to understand that electronically informed GST DRC 01 will mean that only DRC 01 alone should be electronically uploaded. Or in the case of statement of demand, we may understand that electronically from GST DRC 02 alone needs to be updated, which has been done so far by the department. When the GST was introduced, when the refunds were rejected or when small demands were there, regarding the tran credits and all, department used to upload only this DRC 01 or DRC 01 alone. The complete order was not, complete show cause notice or the order was not uploaded. So wherein the assessee was not able to file the reply or the appeal earlier, later on the issue was resolved that they were not able to upload more than a particular size of a file. Now we see that the PDF files of DRC 01, PDF files of the notices or the order gets uploaded on the assessee's portal with the reference of electronic portal number, that is order number. Once you go into your user services and see the orders and notices and orders, you will, once you search whether it's a demand order or any other order, once you type the electronic thing, you will be able to view the orders or the notices passed by the department. Recently, there was a judgment where it was mentioned that as per rule 142, it is necessary that notice also needs to be uploaded on the portal. Sending on an email is not acceptable. So whereby the notice was deemed to be invalid service of notice and it was directed that notice has to be served on the portal itself. Having read this 142, we also will refer section 169. Section 169 talks about service of notice in certain circumstances, not every time. It means that in certain circumstances, wherever the department does not have any other option, then they will use this section 169. So it starts like this: any decision, order, summons, notice, or other communication under this Act made thereunder shall be served by any one of the following methods. So 169 mainly talks about service of notice in certain circumstances, and in 169 the coverage is from the any decision, order, summon, notice, or other communication under this Act. So I would go by giving a larger interpretation saying any communication from the department can be given in this manner. Number one, by giving or tendering it directly, that is from the department side, they may give it directly. or by a messenger, including a courier. They can send it through a messenger, including a courier person also, to the addressee or the taxable person. So normally it will be addressed to the taxable person only, or to his manager, or authorized representative, or an advocate. So earlier the notice was to be served to the taxable person. The mode was also specified that it should be given only by RPID, registered post with acknowledgement due. There are umpty number of cases previous to GST where department has failed on the ground that notice was not served properly as per the rules specified. Now all those loopholes have been identified and they have plugged it here. So they are saying that they can give directly, they can send it through courier, they can give it to the taxable person, to the manager of the taxable person. Later we cannot claim that manager was given the delivery, he had kept in his drawer, then he was not well, he didn't come to office, then he resigned. Only later during shifting only we identified. All those stories will not be working out now, because giving to his manager is also regarded as a valid service of notice. The point here is authorized representative. So if there is a show cause notice and we go and represent a particular client, giving the power of attorney, representing the client, and if the order is also served on us, a copy of order is also given to us, that also will be regarded as a valid service of notice. Or an advocate or a tax practitioner holding authority to appear in the proceedings on behalf of the taxable person, or to a person regularly employed by him in connection with the business. I can stretch this line to an extent that I can say even a gatekeeper who is on my rolls, to a person regularly employed by him in connection with the business. So in connection with my business, I am employing a gatekeeper, I am employing a watchman. Even if it is delivered to him according to this 169, in my humble opinion, is covered as a valid service of notice. Or to any adult member of family residing with the taxable person. Now this all will be taken care only when the options of proper regular service of notice is not available. So they can even come to the SSC's house, they can identify an adult member, give the copy, and it will be regarded as a valid service of notice. Second, by registered post, speed post, or courier with acknowledgement due to the person for whom it is intended, or is authorized representative if any, at his last known place of business or residence. So even if there is a shift in the place of business, when the registered post or speed post is sent with acknowledgement due at the last known place of business or residence, it will be regarded as a valid service of notice. Even if it is getting returned, they are saying even if it is getting returned, since it is covered under 169 that it is last known place of business, if it is addressed, still it will be regarded as a valid service of notice. By sending a communication to his email address provided at the time of registration or submitted from time to time. So here by email also, they say that it is a valid service of notice. However, as per the ruling which recently had come, they had mentioned that the show cause notice must be listed on the portal and cannot be sent through an email. By making it available on the common portal, this is the most common method which the department is going to follow. Second, going to be the emails. So it will be first option will be for the department to list it on the common portal. Second is to send it on the email of the registered email address of the SSC. Third, it will be through intimation through an SMS. These three modes will be followed regularly by the department. Fifth will be publication in the newspaper, and if none of the modes are applicable, then by sticking it on the premises, and if that is also not possible, they will put it on the notice board of the office where this order was passed. So if the order was passed by the commissioner in a particular office, say for example Nungambakam, if the notice is displayed there on the notice board, it is also deemed as a valid service of notice. It is not that every time the department will go to this extent, as given in the section 169, service of notice in certain circumstances. So wherever they feel that regular modes are not working out, then they may resort to section 169 in order to serve the orders or documents or information, whatever is required. A point here to be noted is under 169, even the authorized representative is also covered there. So even if we are receiving, it will be regarded as a valid service of notice. We need to also appropriately inform or give information to the client so that there is no default from our side. Importance of DIN. There was a circular in November 2019, where it was mentioned that no search authorization, summons, arrest memo, inspection notices, and letters issued in course of any inquiry shall be issued on or after 8th day of November 19 without a computer-generated document identification number. This has been made mandatory, and even one of the addresses by Honorable Finance Minister, where she said particularly that if you receive any letter after the particular date without DIN, you can very well tear and put it in the dustbin. These are the same words which she has used in one of the addresses where she was addressing to general public. So such is the importance which is given for the DIN, and it is to ensure that the document which is coming out from the department is a valid document, it is a genuine document, and whatever information to be given to the assessee, he should be giving in response to the document. Even now, there were few communication from the department where they are not given, they are not containing the DIN number, neither they are posted on the GST portal. Certain exceptions are also given where there are technical difficulties in generating the electronic DIN. Maybe in these circumstances, the officer concerned who is issuing the letter will be mentioning that due to technical difficulty, DIN cannot be generated. He should mention that, which will go to prove that during this exceptional circumstances, these permissions were granted or these facilities were being provided, but it cannot happen on a regular basis. And when communication regarding investigation or inquiry to be given at a short notice or in urgent situations, DIN need not be made mandatory. Referring to section 160, we are discussing on letters, notices and summons and the mode of communication with the department. Now here in section 160, which talks about assessment proceedings not to be invalidated on certain grounds.
ITR file status.
Request members to mute themselves, please. Thank you. So, Mr. K. Ramanujam, sir, can you mute yourself, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Bharat sir, you can proceed now, sir. Thank you.
So assessment proceedings not to be invalid on certain grounds. So there is a cushion which the department has kept it for itself, where it holds that no assessment, reassessment, adjudication, review, revision, that is covering all their actions, right from assessment till summons or other proceedings, whatever has been done, cannot be invalidated or deemed to be invalid merely by reason of any mistake, defect, or omission therein. So previous to GST, that is in the erstwhile regime, whenever there was a mistake in the show cause notice, that mistake was highlighted, and there were a lot of cases where the show cause notice itself was to be regarded as an invalid notice. So here we are plugging the loophole, saying that you cannot treat it as an invalid just because there is any omission, just because there is a mistake, just because there is a defect, unless it is gross in nature. Otherwise, if the requirement, that is the intent, the purpose and the requirement of this act is met, then it will be regarded as a valid proceedings only. Second, the service of notice, order or communication shall not be called in question if the notice, order or communication, as the case may be, has already been acted upon. This is very, very important. As I was mentioning, we are also receiving still now notices, communications without DIN, and if you proceed to respond to that communication, you will lose the ground to contest that this notice is an invalid notice. So what I say here is, if you are already been acted upon, then it will be regarded as a valid notice. You cannot claim any defect on such notice. You cannot say that this was not there, that was not there. Further, if there is any ground, objectionable ground or an alternative ground which you need to raise in the notice, in the response to the notice, please feel free to write that. Do not hesitate to give that ground, because if you are not giving that ground, that means you are responding to the notice for the questions that are being asked. it will be regarded as you have acted upon the notice. You have not mentioned any objections as far as the notice is concerned. You will not be permitted to raise any additional ground on this regard at the higher level if at all you are proceeding further. How about electronic issue of summons? Department had filed a writ petition and Honorable Supreme Court had accepted it, and they permitted the department that the summons can be issued electronically. Even they also went ahead to say that it can be issued by way of an instant messaging services, that is WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, etc. However, if a party intends to effect service by means of a said instant messaging services, we direct that in addition thereto, the party must also effect service of the same document or documents by email simultaneously on the same date. So even service of summons by SMS also was accepted by the Supreme Court, provided it is followed up by an email. So summons need not be now issued only on the paper. Maybe because of the COVID-19, this has been given. I believe this will be extended till such time there is no particular order to stop here. When you talk about letters, notices, and summons, when you talk about letters, what are the kinds of letters that we receive? We receive regarding registration, rejection of registration, cancellation for revocation application. If there is any non-filing of returns, we get an intimation letter that you have not filed the returns. We get audit intimations that particular unit has been selected for the audit. So and so people will be visiting, or so and so people are being designated. So you are requested to cooperate and submit all this data. Calling for information, we get these letters from either SIR, which is now ECM department, or headquarters preventive unit, who are investigating agency. On a particular angle they investigate, and they will call for information with respect to a particular information which is required for the purpose of the investigation. Seeking details on particular transaction, that is the case of bill tradings. They will send a letter to the assessee who has transacted with a bill trader, asking for particular information on the invoices raised by a trader who is regarded as a person who was involved in fake invoicing, informing about the excess credit availed. We get a lot of emails that in GSTR 2A you have only this much credit, but you have taken in excess. What is the reason? All those things, etc. Or you also get a reason, get a letter that last time you had paid this much tax, this much tax was paid, and this time you are paying very less, or you are paying more. Explain the reason. That also has come. That is, your taxes paid are more compared to previous year-on-year information, and they ask why it is excess. Mismatch in turnover as per the TDS in GSTR 7 compared with GSTR 1 and 3B. So these are the letters which we normally receive. How to respond, we'll discuss in some time. When we talk about notices, we can talk about registration notice, that is cancellation of registration. Show cause notice is being issued, that why the registration need not be cancelled. Again, revocation application also on the same lines. Assessment notices under 63, A70, 10, etc. Show cause notice for rejection of refund RFD 08. Show cause notice under section 73, where there is no fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of facts. Show cause notice under 74, where fraud, willful misstatement with intent to evade payment of tax, everything is present. Penalty will be 100% under 74, and SCN under section 76. So in my limited example, which I have taken up for notices, these are the coverage where you will get notices from the department. Coming back to other forms and communications, where we have seen various type of notices and letters that are being issued. So here the proper officer may, before service of notice, that is, if there is any inquiry, investigation, audit, or any collection of data is happening, and if there is there is a liability which has been fastened on the assessee, before service of notice, if the assessee agrees that he will be liable to pay this amount, then in that situation, whatever is the findings by the department, they will be communicating to the assessee in part A of form GST DRC 01A. Here they will be mentioning that during the course of verification, inquiry, audit, whatever be the case may be, so and so liability was found not to be discharged from your end. These are the details which required to be paid. And as per the notice which is served, that is GST DRC 01A, Part A, which is being served, if the assessee feels that yes, the amount is to be paid by him to the department, he has missed out to pay, he can very well go for a voluntary payment under 73(5) and pay pay through form GST DRC 03. 73(5), if you are selecting on a voluntary basis, then there will be no penalty. But if you are selecting 74(5), definitely penalty will be applicable. Because once department is identifying, you will be informed to select 74(5). If the notice is issued under 74(5) at later point in time, accordingly penalty will be varying. That is, if you are paying before the issuance of the show cause notice. If you are selecting 73(5), normally this happens when the assessee finds out on himself or voluntarily that so amount was not paid or it was missed out, you use DRC 03 to pay the same. 73(5) is on the basis where there is no fraud, there is no willful misstatement, there is no suppression of facts. So to the extent possible, wherever the liabilities are there, 73(5) should be recommended so that there is no imposition of penalty. But where department is able to find out, and if they are communicating that these details have been missed out, if it is department normally will say that there is a fraud which has happened, there is a willful misstatement of facts, you have not paid the taxes, they will definitely go by 74(5) in order to extract 100% penalty. But if you are able to prove that no, it should come only under 73(5), there was no willful misstatement, etc., definitely you can go with selecting 73(5) and you can remit the amount voluntarily. Once this amount is remitted, the proper officer will be giving an acknowledgement accepting the payment made by the said person in form GST DRC 04. So 01A, it is part A, you will be getting for intimation of the liability. This is one of the communication in DRC 01A you will be getting. If you are willing to pay the same, paid through DRC 03, your communication to the department is through form GST DRC 03, where you are remitting the liability as accepted by you. He will in return give you a communication in GST DRC 04, where he will accept and acknowledge your payment that has been done to the department. Now, DRC 01A may have 3-4 issues, or the amount may be higher, where the person is not accepting the entire liability. If he is making only partial payments, then he can make the partial payment in DRC 03 and give his response in part B of form GST DRC 01A. So part A will be given by the department by intimation. Part B will be used by the SC to communicate to the department on the issues which he is not willing to accept. Whatever is accepting, he'll be paying through DRC 03. Whatever is not accepting, he should respond in part B of DRC 01A. Now, after issuance of the show cause notice, that is after service of notice, if he makes the payment voluntarily, 73(8) or 74(8) as the case may be, penalty will be applicable as mentioned in the appropriate sections. Or where there is a seizure of goods, and as per section 129(1), if any notice is issued and within 14 days of detention, if the person is making the payment, he should intimate the officer of such payment in DRC 03, and proper officer shall issue an order in form GST DRC 05. Now, previously we have seen that it was prior to issuance of the show cause notice, where DRC 03 was used for making the payment and the officer given acknowledgement in DRC 04. Now, this is a situation where show cause notice is already issued. Within 30 days you are paying, or in the case of detention, you are paying within 14 days. In that case, again, you are required to pay through DRC 03, but you will get an order in the form of GST DRC 05. It will be an order mentioning that concluding the proceedings, whatever has been initiated as per the show cause notice. Moving further, the representation referred to in 73(9), 74(9) or 76(3), that is in a form of a reply to any notice, whose summary has been uploaded electronically in form DRC 01, should be furnished in GST DRC 06. In short, whatever we need to give a response, that is, after issuance of the show cause notice, we are not accepting the liability as demanded by the department. We are responding, we are contesting the said demand. by giving a response. That response should be given in DRC06. DRC01 is a summary form along with the show cause notice. As I had informed earlier, PDF format of the notices are being uploaded along with the form GST DRC01. And we are also required to respond to DRC06 electronically. Having said this, it is not sufficient as of now. As of now, it is not sufficient that we respond only through GST DRC06. There can be a lot of attachments which you need to give along with our show cause notice reply. There can be a lot of calculation, references, case laws which we need to upload. The uploading size is also limited. So in that case, it is always advisable that hard copy of the show cause notice reply should be submitted to the jurisdictional office along with all your references, properly prepared and in the form of booklet can be submitted to the department, that is in response to the show cause notice. A summary of the order which is issued under various sections in GST DRC07 specifying therein amount of tax, interest and penalty payable by the person chargeable with tax will be issued along with the order. Once a show cause notice is getting adjudicated, they will be given an order which is GST DRC05. Once DRC05 will be given, if it is already paid, proceedings will be concluded. Otherwise, a confirmed order will be given along with DRC07. DRC01 is a summary of the demand which has been proposed. DRC07 is the summary of the demand which has been confirmed. And once this order is confirmed, it can also act as a notice for recovery. Subject to section 78 and 79, subject to the time limit specified for filing of the appeal, once this time limit is lapsed, DRC07 will automatically be regarded as a notice for recovery. Recovery actions can be initiated once DRC07 is issued and the timeline is crossed for filing of the appeal. Where there is a rectification of the order has been passed in accordance with provisions of section 161. 161 rectification is nothing but correction of a mistake apparent on record, maybe a clerical error, maybe a reference error, etc. So here, whenever there is a rectification which is happening, the summary of the rectification order or the withdrawal order also should be uploaded electronically by the proper office in form GST DRC08. So we have seen what are type of letters, what are the type of notices that we receive, and the relevant forms that are being used as of now with respect to the notices and how do we need to respond. Moving to summons, which are issued under section 70. Before we enter into how do we respond to the summon, there are some slides which will give some insight which we normally as a chartered accountant we miss to see, or normally it is the advocate's cup of coffee where they used to handle the summons in a very highlighted manner. And it is time that we chartered accountants also are equipped to know the proceedings, what is happening and which law is applicable, what are the sections applicable. I'm sure Dr. Justice Vineet Kothari had addressed rightly in the recent SARC conference that there is no bar except an inserting of a provision in the Advocates Act to enable chartered accountants to enter into legal practice. So it is time that we start learning so that we also appreciate the law which are referred into the GST Act also. What are the consequences of the law which are referred here? What are the impact on non-compliance, etc. So let us try to explore that now. Section 70 of CGST Act talks about summon. The proper officer under this act shall have power to summon any person whose attendance he considers necessary, either to give evidence or to produce a document or any other thing in an inquiry in the same manner as provided in the case of a civil court under the provisions of Code of Civil Procedure 1908. Issuance of a summon not necessarily means that you are a defaulter or you are an accused person. Issuance of a summon is for the purpose of collection of data. Once the data is received, once data is collected, then they will decide on the next course of action to deem you as a person in default or a person who has abetted or who has assisted in committing a fraud, etc. So summon necessarily does not mean that you are a person who is regarded as an offender. So first the details will be called for, and then it will be decided. So summon is issued for the purpose of recording the information, collecting the data, where the officer considers that it is necessary, then the proper person who can give the evidences will be so and so, and accordingly summon is issued to the particular person. Every such inquiry referred in subsection 1 shall be deemed to be a judicial proceedings within the meaning of section 193 and 228 of Indian Penal Code. So here the other laws which are being referred here are Code of Civil Procedure 1908, Indian Penal Code is also referred here. Rule 132 of CGST rules. We have seen section 70 giving power to the officer to issue summons. What is this rule 132 for? 132 is issued for giving powers to the Director General of Anti-Profiteering or an officer authorized by him. So as such, there are no powers to the Anti-Profiteering Authority to issue summons, but by way of backdoor entry, I would call it, by insertion of a rule 132 under the CGST rules, they have given power to the Director General of Anti-Profiteering Authority to issue summons as similar to the proper officer as is issuing, and conduct all the inquiries and proceedings, etc., similar to the provisions as applicable in the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. Summon as such is not defined in GST or the Code of Civil Procedure. In general terms, it means it is a legal document issued by a court. Normally, it is issued by a court. As we have seen, Code of Civil Procedure is applicable here. So normally, it is issued by the court. And since it is made applicable to GST, it also can be issued by the proper officer. Enforcing the attendance of a person before the court and examining him under oath for the purpose of judicial proceedings. And section 27 of Code of Civil Procedure contains where a suit has been duly instituted, a summon may be issued to the defendant to appear and answer the claim as may be served in a manner as may be prescribed. So this is what is given as far as the Code of Civil Procedure is concerned under section 27. So you summon a person to appear and give answers for the claims that have been made against the said person. Coming back to GST, as far as summons are concerned, who is a proper officer who can issue the summons? He is a person in relation to any function to be performed under this act, means the commissioner or the officer of the central tax who is assigned that function by the commissioner in the board. So normally it is commissioner who is authorized, and commissioner will in turn authorize his downside officers to perform the activities. So the person who are authorized by the commissioners will be the proper officer to carry out all the functions as required under this act. So in this regard, a circular was also issued by July 2017 assigning the proper officer. Superintendent of Central Tax is a designation who can issue the summons for the purpose of exercising the powers under section 71. This is hierarchy of the department. On one side, you will find Executive Commissionerate. On the other side, you will find the officers from the DGGI, that is Directorate General of GST Investigation. So here you will see Principal Chief Commissioner, Principal Commissioner, Commissioner, Additional Commissioner, Joint, Deputy and Assistant. On the other side, you will find Principal Director, Director General, Principal Additional Director General. Here, during the Commissioner and Additional Commissioner on the left-hand side, you will find only similar post, that is Additional Director here as a Commissioner, and Additional Director also will be regarded as Additional Commissioner as per the hierarchy which has been present here. Others remain same, that is Joint Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner and Assistant Director remain same. What is the objective of issuing of summon? Summon is issued to the defendant for providing information about the proceedings initiated against him. Principle of natural justice to include right of full information of the charges, allegations made, so as to have full opportunity to defend. So once a summon is being issued, once the person is appearing before the officer, it should be the mandatory obligation of the proper officer to give complete information on why and what are the reasons for initiating the proceedings against him. They will be giving all the information that according to their inquiry, you have not paid the taxes. According to the information received, you have traded in the fake invoices. According to the information, you have availed excess credit, etc. So whatever is the basis for initiating a proceedings, as per the principles of natural justice, it is mandatory and obligatory on the part of the officer to share to give information on what is the reason for issuing a summon to and initiate a proceeding against him. After issuance of summon, the court may direct the defendant to file the written statement of his defense on the date of his appearance. This normally happens at the court. Once summons are issued and the person appears in the court, he gives a statement, then the court will direct that whatever has been stated can be given on a paper, that is in writing, the details to be submitted. No such summons shall be issued when the defendant has appeared at the presentation of the plaint and admitted the plaintiff claim. This also appears at the court, and once a person is called for on a regular basis and if he is appearing, there is no requirement to issue summons at all. 23/12/2019, by way of a circular, the summon format was given, but even prior to this, people were following the same format which was used in the erstwhile regime. So this is the format in which the summons are being issued. Here you will find inquiry as aforesaid is deemed to be a judicial proceeding within the meaning of 193 and 228 of IPC, and non-compliance of the summons is an offence punishable under section 174 and 175 of the IPC. So here they are calling that I consider your attendance necessary to give evidence or produce documents or things of the following description in your possession or under your control. So I have also seen the summons where they mentioned that in accordance with the inquiry or proceedings initiated against so and so person, that is XYZ, you are required to give this particular transaction, the transaction with XYZ, the ledger copy, the payments made, the invoices received from the XYZ, etc., etc. So they also mentioned that there is a proceeding initiated against so and so person. In this regard, you are requested to give the following details or documents. We have seen the references of other law where Code of Civil Procedure is also referred and Indian Penal Code is also referred. Let us understand those sections too. We have seen 193 of IPC. What is 193 of IPC say? It talks about punishment for false evidence. There are many tax consultants, I can use this word, I will not say chartered accountants, I can use this word tax consultants, who wrongly guide the assessees. In the sense, they work in such a manner that they figure up the financials to boost up the revenue or to reduce the expenditures or to increase the profit or to adjust the stocks, etc., etc. They give a lot of advices and they fabricate a balance sheet for their bank purpose or for any other reasons as the case may be. They do not advise on the adverse impact which they may have in the GST regime. There are cases where turnover was boosted, but appropriate information was not taken care. That is, in Tamil they say, "Tappa senjalum correcta seyanum." Here they make the mistakes but not properly, and it definitely can come out on seeing the papers, on seeing by the investigation officers. It can very well identify that there are some fraud which has happened, there is a mistake which has happened. So like that, people do advise, and for that also, and once the investigation is commencing, these people again try to give false evidence and cover up this matter. So they should be aware that whoever is intentionally giving false evidence in any stage of a judicial proceedings, they shall be punished with imprisonment of 7 years and also shall be liable to be fined. And in any other case, it will be 3 years and also liable to be fined. Now, when we talk about summons, as we have already seen in the format also, and we have also read that it is a judicial proceedings. So if any false evidence is being given, it will be liable to be punished for imprisonment of 7 years and also will be liable to be fined. 228 of IPC, intentional insult or interruption to public servant sitting in judicial proceeding. So in any judicial proceeding, if you are intentionally insulting or you are causing an interruption to public servant in performing his duties, then there is an imprisonment for 6 months with fine, or it can extend to 1,000 rupees or imprisonment, or both also. Other relevant sections, 191 of Indian Penal Code, giving false evidence. What do you mean by giving of false evidence? Whoever being legally bound by an oath or by an express provision of law to state the truth or being bound by law to make a declaration upon any subject makes any statement which is false, which he either knows or believes it to be false or does not believes it to be true, is said to be given a false evidence. So this is what is the explanation or the definition of false evidence given under 191 of IPC. A statement is within the meaning of this section whether it is made verbally or otherwise. So whatever statements are made, whether you make it verbally during the course of the proceeding or you sign the typed out statement wherever your statement is mentioned accordingly, that is also will be covered under this 191 of IPC. A false statement as to the belief of a person attesting is within the meaning of this section, and a person may be guilty of giving false evidence by stating that he believes a thing which he does not believe, as well as by stating that he knows a thing which he does not know. So normally when we sign at the end of the statement, when the assessee signs, it is mentioned, to the best of my knowledge and belief, the above information is given, and it is true to best of my knowledge. Having signed the particular statement with these declarations, if it is found that it was not true, the information given was a false evidence, in that case, definitely 191 of IPC will be applicable. Using evidence known to be false. First one we saw giving false evidences. Now using a particular evidence which is actually false, even that also will be liable for punishment in the same manner as if he is giving a fabricated false evidence. 174 necessary for summons. We have seen 174 and 175 in the format of the summons. What does that have an impact? Non-attendance in obedience to an order from a public servant. Whoever being legally bound to attend in person or by an agent at a certain place and time in obedience to a summon from any public servant legally competent as such public servant to issue the same intentionally omits to attend at that place or time. So summons, as you have already seen, it is a judicial proceedings. If you intentionally omit to attend at that place or time, it will be regarded as, it will be covered under section 174. That is why whenever summons are issued, people should give a response. At least if they are not able to come, they should give a response that they are not able to come and seek an adjournment. It should not happen that you don't give an adjournment also, you don't go and present yourself before the officer. Then the officer has the right to categorize under section 174 that non-attendance in disobedience to the public servant, they can regard it under this section 174 itself. Or departs from the place where he is bound to attend before the time at which it is lawful for him to depart. Now, normally when you see in certain summons, people do mention these lines that you are requested to be present at so and so time, and you are not supposed to leave unless you are permitted for. So in that sense, if you see people will be called at morning 10 a.m., you cannot leave from the premises unless you are permitted by the officer to leave. And if there is any there is a friction which has already happened during interaction between the officer and the assessee, definitely there will be a part of harassment which can happen. The assessee will be made to wait even till 6 p.m., 7 p.m. also, and then only he will be let out. So as long as the officer permits, you are not supposed to move out of the premises also. And if there is an intentionally omitted to appear, or you are moving out before the particular time, there is a punishment for the same. That is simple imprisonment for a term which may extend to 1 month, or a fine which may extend to 5,000 rupees, or with both. If the summons orders is to attend any person by an agent in a court of justice. So we have seen 174 of IPC applicable for the judicial proceeding of summons. If the same is happening in the court of justice, the imprisonment will be for 6 months and with a fine which may extend to 1,000 rupees. 175. Omission to produce document or electronic record to public servant by person legally bound to produce it. Now, during summons, a statement can be recorded. During recording of such statement, a lot of information will be asked for. If such information is readily available with the person who is recording the statement, he can give, or else he will take time. Normally saying that he need to check his books of accounts, he need to check with his auditor, and then he can submit the documents. So certain timeline will be given within which he has to collect such information and respond and collect and give it to the proper officer concerned. So where he intentionally omits to produce or omits to deliver the same within the timeline specified, The punishment is there for that also, which is similar to section 174. It's may extend up to 1 month imprisonment or 5,000 rupees or both. Certain judgments relating to the summons. Recording of statement. A statement was ought to be recorded without following the procedure of law. That time, the case was filed by Mr. Paresh Natlal Chauhan that they have started recording statement. It was pointed out by one of the amicus curiae, their advocate who supported, who lent his knowledge to Gujarat High Court, by saying that statement can be recorded only when summons are issued. So, for the purpose of GST, whenever there is a information being called for, even if you are submitting all the information, in order to record a statement, definitely there will be a requirement of a summon to be issued by the officer, and only after which he'll be eligible to record a statement from a particular taxpayer. Regarding attendance of an authorized person or an advocate or a chartered accountant, as the case may be. There are certain favorable decisions where they say that presence of advocate at a visible but not audible distance in relation to the interrogation is permitted, wherein the presence of advocate was allowed at a distance with sight but not in a hearing range. So even if the taxpayer goes with an advocate or an authorized representative, he will not be permitted to sit along with the person where the statement recording is happening. He will be permitted to sit where he will be able to see the proceedings, but he cannot hear what is happening inside. Certain adverse decisions also are there, where Sudhir Kumar Tripathi had filed a case regarding presence of an advocate while this questioning is going on. The Honorable Supreme Court had informed that customs officers are not empowered with the powers as given to the police officer. So physical assault cannot be carried out by the proper officers. Hence, mishandling does not arise, and permission of a presence of a lawyer was rejected. There are also other decisions where they are informed that requirement of a lawyer or the presence of a lawyer during the examination is not required. Whether proceedings under 73 has to be initiated for issuing summon under section 70. The question is, whom Shiv Associates had filed a case that there is no notice being issued and section 70 has been initiated and summons have been issued before giving any show cause notice. I don't know how an advocate, a tax advocate, or a person who is taking up the case can go and represent on this particular question. It is clear that section 70 does not have any impact of section 73 at all. 70 is independent, 73 is independent. So it was concluded that 70 can be initiated anytime, does not require initiation of a show cause notice under section 73 to come back and issue section 70. As well as there was also another judgment which mentioned that based on the summons issued, you cannot go and give a provisional attachment of a bank account of an associate under section 83 only when the orders are confirmed, only when the demand is confirmed and DRC 07 is issued, and if the appeals are not filed, only in that case the attachments can be proceeded with. Just by issuing section 70, summons under 70, provisional attachment cannot happen. Summons to senior officials. In Gale Gas Limited, summons are issued to the senior officers. The senior officers filed a case mentioning that they are directing the higher authorities to appear. Then the court held that if you are not familiar with the information, you should go and inform the officer that so and so person will come and appear. You cannot claim that there are higher authorities, they will not be available for summons and all. You cannot claim so, but you have to inform the officer that whoever are the person who are familiar with the transactions will appear on a particular date. It is the duty of the assessee to inform to the officers. You cannot claim that summons served on the directors or the managing directors is involved. You cannot claim so. Next, on the parallel investigations. Parallel investigations do happen. Sometimes state comes first, sometimes center comes first, and both of them start issuing letters and calling for the records. It is advisable that whoever has initiated the action at first, they will prevail, and the second person who has initiated, second officer, that is either it can be CGST or SGST, they shall be given a letter with a copy of the document that so-and-so investigation is already commenced by so-and-so office, copy of the summons attached. Since this investigation has commenced before your investigation, the documents all being are submitted there. You are requested to kindly close the proceedings. Like this, a letter can be submitted to the officer concerned. Voluntary statement. Voluntary statement is when the investigation is happening, when the statement is being recorded, you will find these particular lines that I so and so, age so and so, father's name, qualification, functioning as so and so, giving this voluntary statement without any coercion, threat, etc. This will be particularly mentioned when the statements are being recorded. If there is any instance, where there is a threat being used, there is coercion being used in recording a statement, if there is a sign being obtained, the officer concerned is actually not permitted to do so. And if at all, if it is happening, the first thing which the assessee has to do is, once he is coming out of the building, he needs to go to a police station and file for an FIR. Even if there is a physical force being used by the officer, since they are not authorized, they are not permitted to use physical force. If there is any use of physical force, the assessee has to immediately go file an FIR, or go to a hospital, government hospital, inform about this particular happening, and call for a police to visit and register an FIR. Only then it can be proved to the court of law that the statement was taken on a threat, and he was threatened to issue such statement, he was coerced to issue such statement, or he was physically assaulted when the statement was recorded. Otherwise, if these proofs are not being maintained, then he will not have case at the higher level. This I have already seen, consequence of non-attending. Certain guidelines are issued for the officers for issuing summons. I will not cover that. Refreshing of memory during summon proceedings. 159 of Indian Evidence Act. When a statement is being recorded, there can be various references drawn by the officers to confirm. For example, there can be a question. Please tell us what are the transactions that you have engaged as a limited company or as a trader. What are the transactions in which you are engaged with Messrs. XYZ? It will not be possible for the person who is recording statement to remember all the transactions. So at that point in time, if he is able to give, if the officer is able to produce the invoice copies which are taken from XYZ, then he needs to confirm. He can say that please refer to these invoices, see whether these invoices are issued by you. So here it is permitted under 159, it is permitted that wherever the questions are being asked with reference to particular documents, the officer can give the particular records for a refreshing of memory, and once he is able to recollect, he can give his views on the same. Copy of the statement, very, very important thing. The person being summoned has the right to ask for a copy of the statement being recorded. 99.999% normally statement will, a copy of the statement will be given. It will be the SSC will be asked to sign, received a copy on the original side, and another copy will be given to him. If by chance the statement is not given, then the person has to request the officer to allow him to copy all the question and answer whatever has been typed so far. The statement should be in writing and signed by the officer making the statement. In writing will also will mean by typing also. Now coming, we have now seen the various type of letters, notices and summons which are issued by the department. Now let us see the mode of communication to be followed by the SSC. Now once any letter, notices or summons come, you have to see from where the letter has come, which department has issued this communication, which officer has signed, whether the letter or the notices or the summons which has come, whether there is a jurisdiction to issue such letter to the taxpayer, what is the mode of the issuing, whether it has come in email, whether it has come in physical mode, or whether it has been delivered by hand, etc. What is the mode in which it has been received? What is the requirement called for? For example, if there is a letter, then they may ask for a clarification. If there is a notice, then it will be a It can be a show cause notice on various aspects which you have already seen. If there is a summon, then they may ask for certain information to be collected. In many cases, when summons are issued, they don't mention what is required. They just mention that in requirement of a particular investigation, we believe that you are in possession of particular details and information which we request you to come and submit it to us. That's all. They will not reveal what is the investigation, what is the documents required, why you are being called for. Nothing will be revealed in the summons. But only when you go and present yourself before the officer, that time only you will be able to get complete information on what is the investigation happening, why you have been issued summons, what is the information they are expecting from you. So general summons can also come, not particularly that so and so details are required to be submitted, you are required to carry, etc. So it can come as a general summon also, where you will be called for and you need to appear before the officer, and only then you will be able to get complete information. Talk to the officer if contact information can be traced. Why we have to talk to the officer? If you are able to respond, if there is a small matter, you can very well write in response to the letter. If it has come through email, you also give response through email. If it has come through physical mode, you also give physical mode and get it acknowledged. But if there is a complex matter, if there is a time-taking issue, you will not be able to produce the details as asked in the letter or the notice within a particular time. Then please write to the officer, talk to the officer if possible, seek time, asking so and so time will be required for us to submit the particular data, and follow it up by the letter in writing and get it acknowledged. Check the particulars with the books of accounts for the said requirement. So whatever transactions they are asking for, you need to refer to your books of accounts and identify whether all such transactions are legally recorded properly and there are no mismatch or there are no contravention of the provisions of the law, etc. Please ensure yourself that all the details are proper and in order and they have been declared the returns correctly. Prepare your detailed response in a clear, crystal manner, and then whatever is the mode in which you have received the communication, in the same mode you can deliver it. Normally, if it is in hard copy, it is better to go in person, submit a letter or the submit your submissions and get an acknowledgement on your paper. So it is the best way I can say, where you will get a first hand acknowledgement from the department. You may not get it if you are sending it to RPD or courier. You may get the information that yes, the packet has been delivered, but whether it has reached a concerned person, you will not be able to be aware. So it is always better whenever you are giving a physical document, please go physically and get it acknowledged either in the Tapal section or to the officer concerned. After submitting, you need to also decide on whether there will be a further requirement to meet the officer in person to give clarifications, to give further information or documents in order to ensure that the proceedings are closed appropriately. When you talk about notices, as we have discussed, 142, it needs to be 140, rule 142. The notices are required to be displayed on the online portal. And 169 also we have seen there are various modes in which the notice can be served. So first of all, you need to record the date of receipt, the mode of receipt. If it has come on email, you need to record what is the date in which the mail has been received. You need to advise to the client that you take printout of that particular email itself and preserve it in the file. Tomorrow it should not happen that emails are gone and systems are corrupted or got deleted, etc. Definitely anything can happen anytime as far as IT is concerned. So whenever there is a notice which has been issued by way of an email, please take printout of that particular email and preserve it in the file. This will establish your date of receipt. If you are receiving it through postal mode, please have the cover along with a copy of the notice pinned and kept on the file. Record the dates very, very clearly, because from that date only further proceedings can begin. Like within 30 days, if you are paying, there are some benefits which are eligible for. And within 30 days of passing of the order, if you are paying, there are certain benefits which are eligible for. And the response time, within 30 days, you are required to respond. So from what date you have received, you need to calculate your 30 days for giving your appropriate response. So date of receipt is very, very critically important. The client needs to be educated for that. Analyze the current status, plan the timing. It's not that we are freely available, and once notice comes, we can immediately start preparing the responses. We may be occupied with various other works. The best example is currently going on now, GSTR 996, December 31st is the due date. Now, when you are planning for communicating or responding to a particular notice, you have to plan your timing. You have to see which date or which time will be better for you to sit and start your work. Normally, in my humble opinion or in my experience, I can say that the best time to start addressing the notices by preparing the responses after 6 p.m. because only after which you don't have any disturbances by way of a call or by way of a client visit or by way of any student or staff asking any doubts or particulars, etc. So with a calm and peaceful mind after 6, I do that. I depends on the various people who have their favorable timings to work on. So you need to plan when you can start this work, when you can finish this work. Please have cut off at least 5 days in advance for with respect to notice. Or if it is appeal is there, you get a lot of time, 3 months time is there. You can have a cut off, say 15 days before the due date, etc. So prepare your first response, prepare the first draft. You can discuss with your assessee, finalize the same, finalize all the information whether they are given correct, decide who is going to appear, take an authorization for the appearance. Practically speaking, when we give a power of attorney, normally the authorized representative will be there. His name should be mentioned and should be signed. When we take client signature, it will be mentioned for XYZ Private Limited authorized signatory or managing director or so and so, whatever is the designation. I have been facing issues in the department where people ask, who is that person managing director? What is his name? Who is the person manager who is authorizing you? What is his name? So please ensure that the name of the person authorizing is also captured in the power of attorney, the person who is authorizing you. Below the signature, his name also should be mentioned. If it is not possible to reply within the stipulated time of 30 days, please file for an extension. Please give your power of attorney and file for an extension for, see, if you are asking for 30 days, they will give for 15 days. If you are asking for 60 days, they may give for 30 days. So plan your schedule accordingly and ask for the required number of time, required period of time, what you are comfortable with. You may ask for say 30 days or 45 days as the case may be. Keep ready the registers and records properly. So these registers and records are in general, I'm saying there can be, it's not necessary that every time this registered records will come into picture. It can be issue wise. There can be an issue on omission of invoices. There can be issue on stock not matching. There can be issue of classification. There can be issue of ITC. Various issues can erupt. So out of that, GST mainly will be saved. That is, the assessee will be saved only by the registers and records. Whatever is being prescribed under Section 35. So whatever is prescribed, please ensure that they are all ready with respect to a particular case, so that those references can be annexed along with the show cause notice. What is the language that you need to be used? I have seen draftings of people from various segments. I have seen the drafting of an advocate. I have seen a drafting of a senior professional advocate. I have seen a newly qualified chartered accountant drafting a response. I have seen qualified seasoned professionals chartered accountant drafting a response. They all vary from each and every person. It all depends on how they perceive and what their qualities are in giving a response to the proper officer. Sometimes you will find people writing in such a way that it will be as if like you are poking a needle in the banana. It will be like that also. So I'm not saying that you should use harsh words or you should use condemning words, etc. in the show cause notice reply. You need to be very calm and composed in your reply as far as this reply is concerned. The person who is reading should not get agitated, should not get irritated. You should be clear in your points, what you want to say. In that sense, the language is to be soft and clear. Submissions, that is your preparations. How do you prepare your response? The response should be structured pairwise. It should not so happen that you have started writing from page number 1 and it goes and ending at page number 3 without any break or without any, you are writing as if you are writing a storybook. It should not happen in that manner. Please structure your reply in various paragraphs, have bullet points, and wherever points you are able to list it out, give italics or bold wherever you want to highlight a particular information. You please do that. Alignment and arranging of the entire reply which is fitting in the paper, either it can be A4 sheet or the client's letterhead preferably. You can set it and accordingly you can take printout. Record keeping, number of copies needs to be submitted. As I was mentioning, though you are filing a response online, it is necessary that you submit the copies also physically. So once you are preparing a physical copy, please take 3 copies. One, you should be submitting to the department. Second, you take an acknowledgement. Third, you have a client copy. So wherever, even if the client copy is missing, you can give your copy. If your copy is missing, you can obtain it from the client also. Appearance, preparedness, and presentation before authorities. As an authorized person, we are eligible to appear before the authorities. It all matters. Like what matters is how you present your case before the officer. It can so happen that you are given the complete time in the world to explain your case, issue by issue, number by number, page by page, where the officer will sit and record all the things that you are saying. He will also ask reference, whatever you are saying, at which page it is available, what is the paragraph number, what is the page number, etc. It can also happen that the person will just listen to you for 3 minutes and he will write reiterated the submissions made in the show cause notice reply and yes, nothing to add. That's all. 3 lines only will be there. Reiterated the submissions made in the show cause notice reply and yes, nothing to add. That's all. So your reply gains a lot of importance whenever you are drafting, because it is not the commissioner or the adjudicating officer who is going to read. It is the superintendent or the inspector who is going to prepare the order is going to read. So you have to keep that in mind to ensure that whatever you are writing is clearly understandable in the for the officers who are going to prepare the order. It can also help in getting you a favorable order also. Preparing synopsis, very very important options thing. The case can be multifold. You can have a classification, you can have a ITC, you can have a mismatch, you can have various things compiled in a one particular notice. It will be difficult for you to explain each and everything in detail. So a synopsis can be prepared where this issue is given in brief and with the references in the page numbers and the attachments and the annexures, whatever you are doing, that synopsis can be prepared and can also be submitted in the personal hearing. And this will help the officers to refer to a particular transaction wherever you are quoted. And it will be easy for the officer also to give the order easily without scratching his head and turning papers here and there. So presentation of the show cause notice reply, properly indexed, properly page numbered, properly attached, references given of the annexures, calculations, references, etc., should be in a chronological order with properly serially numbered, so that it looks also better and it gives a clear picture for the officer, and it can also give an image that yes, a lot of work has gone inside in preparing these documents, and the person who has submitted is a knowledgeable person. So few lines I've just in my opinion, whatever is better or I have just given here can be improved more further. I'll share the presentation also for you to take note. So with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you one and all for giving patient hearing. If any questions are there, I'll take it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bharat, for that excellent and lucid presentation. You explained us in various acts, not only the GST part of it, combined with that, IPC and Indian Evidence Act. From wherever it is possible, you have collected and given us a very, very knowledge sharing session for us. Thank you so much for being part of it. Now it's open to the members to ask any questions.
Members can unmute and ask. One chat has come.
Okay, sorry.
Practically, do we have Tapal section in the department offices? Most officers are not ready to acknowledge. Yes, we have Tapal sections in the department offices. We can give.
Anybody wants to ask any other question?
Bharat, RVK here.
Yes, sir. Solunga, sir.
Sir, for one of my client, they have not filed the GST return on time. The Delhi authorities have just cancelled the application. Okay. So the cancellation came in mail. When what happens in that mail, we are not having any clue of what is the section, because in Delhi, you know, so many offices in Delhi. So which section and where the mail has come. When we respond to that mail also, that mail is bouncing back. So then we ask the client to go in person, take the thing and solve the issue. But some of the mails are coming without any clear addresses and proper address or anything. So I have come across only one case, but you would have handled so many cases on that. So in that situation, because only when we clearly know which section, which office thing, only it is saying the department superintendent 1, 2 like that. But we cannot also send in a speed post or registered post also, because at time when we get the mail only after 3 days from the raising. So in this situation, how to go about? It is only a practical query. I have handled it and closed it, but such cases are coming frequently, or how to handle it in the future.
Right, sir. What you have done is 100% the proper procedure, sir. The mails which you are referring to are nothing but the system generated mails. You will
Exactly.
get mail from no reply at gst.gov.in.
Okay.
So in this situation, what we have done is need to go to the proper officer who is in charge for the registration,
Correct.
give requisite details, and give an assurance that returns will be filed within so and so time, not to cancel the registration. And once the registration, once the returns are being filed, we can go and give the acknowledgements, and after which they will be able to release the registration
Yeah,
number.
that was has happened.
Yes.
But there is no address or anything coming. If it is coming from Delhi, Gurgaon like that,
Yes, sir.
so it is
So
finding out the.
better to go to jurisdictional officer, sir.
Yes, sir. That's what we have done.
Correct, correct.
Sir, suppose a mail is coming to the authorized dealer, authorized person who is in Dubai, and he is not referring that to the account section or to the audit wing. So up to what period? Suppose say they send the communication on 5th of December with a quoting 15th. So this normally is in a case of a small company, it will go to the managing director. Managing director will be somewhere busy and the thing. So that notice will come after 15 days. By that time, they will have a feeling with the ego issue that you have not respond to the thing.
Yes,
So how to handle such issues?
it is better to give the email ID of the person who are regular on emails, because these, or give a separate mail ID, create a separate mail ID for this tax purposes, and give the separate ID itself to the department. For example, there is a ID which I have seen, tax@companyname.in.
Okay.
So once this mail is received, they put an auto forward to all the respective people who are in charge.
Okay.
So that mails get auto forward to the accounts department or the audit department, wherever they need to. So it comes to the information of everybody, and they can respond it accordingly, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody has any question?
Good evening. My name is Sudhakar.
Yes, sir. Sudhakar, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Please tell me.
So we are able to hear you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, one of the practical issues just I am facing now.
Yes, sir.
My client is a government contractor who is executing infrastructure work for the Corporation of Chennai. He's genuinely bought some material from the steel company. One of the central officers calling from Nungambakam says, no, this is a fake invoice. And he says it need to be paid by the tax. And he is also stating to the accountant that if you are not going to pay the tax, then I will come to your the premises for inspect not only this invoice with the other invoice. He's not sending even any letter or summons. It's only happening in the orally. How to deal with this, sir?
No, you can also continue to give oral response only, sir. Unless something is coming in writing, it is not advisable to go forward. We don't know who is the person who is calling. Whether it is verified that the person who is calling is an officer.
No, that accountant went there. He met the officer itself.
Okay.
He
Good.
saying, "Oh, if you are not going to pay the tax, then I will come to your place. I will search all the other invoices which is belongs to for steel and cement and other things."
Right, sir. Now it is practice by the officers to see that with the minimal efforts, maximum tax can be collected. And I can also see as an opportunity for the SSC to rectify if there is any error which has happened. Now, in your case, as you say, it seems that it is a genuine purchase which has happened. You need to now prove with the documents and details that it is a genuine purchase. You need to
That's what we requested him to send a letter so that at least we will reply that along with the all we have all the ledger copy and invoice copy, even the EY bill copy, everything is there, and we are insisting him to send a letter. But instead of sending letter, he is talking orally and saying that he is like threatening, like I will come to your place and will check all other details like that.
They have the powers, sir. They have the powers to come and visit the premises. It is not that they are not having powers, but definitely they do have powers to come and visit. But you can request for a letter only. We cannot go beyond whatever is possible. It is not advisable to go and give in writing anything, sir, unless we receive anything in writing. It is my humble opinion. Others can take that views, please.
Will they come before inform? They will inform, sir, before they are coming, or
No, they will not inform, sir. DGGI will never informs.
DGJ will never inform. But what about this local this assessing officer?
Headquarters they will inform and come.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Bharat.
Good evening, madam.
I have 2-3 questions. One quick question is that relating to email notices. So the section only says that, say by sending a communication to his email address provided at the time of registration or as amended. But what happens most of the time is that the email comes from unofficial ID of the department officers. So how far is it valid?
You need to ensure that it is from the proper officer. I have seen unofficial mail IDs are there, but there are also IDs which are created based on the division and ranges. For example, say Egmore. There is an email ID of the officer with Egmore range 1@gmail.com. Or for example, say Maramani Nagar, Nagar at so gmail.com. Like that, the IDs are there. You can request the officer to send it through the official IDs.
Okay, but how far it is valid if they are sending through those kind of Gmail IDs? Like, can we? Is it fine if we don't respond just because it is from some unofficial ID? Do we have a valid case?
Always to be conservative, it is better that we see and then decide if it is carrying a DIN number. If that information is carrying a DIN number, you can very well verify and then you can respond.
Yeah, see, I totally agree on in the case where there is a DIN or where there is a signed notice which is being attached. But I'm talking about a scenario where
In email also they give the reference of DIN. In email also they give. So you can verify the DIN, or else you can write a mail, kindly give us a response with the proper DIN number. Once it is with DIN number, even if it is coming from a person also, it will be fine to respond. Once it is verified from the portal itself.
Okay, got it. And another scenario what I have is a very interesting scenario, that is for a TRAN credit. The notice has been served, but then the notice was received in the address from where they have already shifted. So there was no response which is given from the client's end on the for the notice. So we cannot contest that the notice is invalid or anything. It's just a failure on their part to respond for the notice, and hence the order has been passed. But now the issue is that the order is being passed by the State Department, stating that the transition credit is wrongly availed for state tax. But the entire transition credit has been availed only in CGST and nothing in SGST.
Okay.
Okay, so now the order states to, completely, basically the order is about disallowing that transition credit of state tax. But the entire transition credit is there only in central tax. Nothing, there is a zero transition credit in state tax. Okay. Now, for this, if we are going on an appeal, okay, so naturally at the time of appeal, there is a pre-deposit which is required, right? So is there any way this pre-deposit can be avoided? Because the issue is just something which is prima facie. You're talking about SGST credit, but whereas what I have availed is just CGST credit. So nothing to get into the facts of, or even the merits of the credit. I'm just talking about apparent error. So how do you think the appeal works without pre-deposit in such scenarios?
Now, just I have referred section 161, rectification of error, which is by correcting the mistake apparent on record. You can use section 161 and write to the same officer that giving references of the tran credit, saying that there is nothing used in the SGST, but there is a order which is conforming to reverse the credit on SGST. So you may kindly rectify and make it 0 and give a final order. And the timeline is also prescribed here within 3 months of the date of the issue of the order. So if the timelines are there, then definitely you can approach under section 161.
Okay. So
If
this,
the office is working out, then only appeal is the way and the pre-deposit needs to be paid.
Yeah.
okay, got it. So just in case, just to understand, this is already a situation where the order has been received. So just in case if we contest that this is a CGST credit and it's not SGST credit, whether the same official, I mean, whether the same officer has the right or authority to scrutinize any further because
No,
it's CGST credit.
as far as the particular order is concerned, I think prima facie from what you are saying, if nothing is there in the SGST, if they are saying to reverse, definitely that order will be in favor of the SSC. Once that is completed, they can also very well come back and inspect your CGST records. They can initiate other proceedings.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to understand. So, do they have the authority? Whether the State Department authority has got the powers to scrutinize SGST credit?
State Department inspecting CGST credit, right?
Yeah. See, this is a situation where the credit is CGST credit. Okay, so the order has been issued by State Department. So my query is whether the State Department has got the authority to scrutinize a CGST credit. If I am going through Section 161.
Yeah, I don't find any bar in the law restricting the officers to verify the CGST credit. But practically speaking, they may not have that knowledge to verify the CGST credit. So they may refer the case to the CGST officers to carry out the verifications.
Okay. Okay, I have a third scenario. Sorry, is it fine if I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
please go ahead.
Okay, so I have a third situation wherein, I mean, this is something interesting that I came across recently. The client is being questioned upon a completely different jurisdictional authority, the authority of his customer. Okay, so basically, company A has supplied some material or goods or services to some company B. The jurisdictional authority of company B has questioned company A about their credit eligibility. Because what happens is company B has applied for refund of ITC. Okay. So when they get into the ITC part, the some of the ITC has been availed out of the supplies made by company A. Okay. So now the company A has made all these supplies and they have made this out of their ITC. I do understand what the department is trying to probe into because of all these, falsified or fraudulent invoices where these credit routines are happening these days. A lot of cases are coming up, so I can understand the intent behind why the department is getting into the credit aspects of company A while they are processing the refund of company B. Okay, but keeping aside the logic part, is it legally right?
As far as executive commissionerate is concerned, their jurisdiction is restricted to company B only, madam. In my humble opinion, they are not eligible to probe into company A's credit. As long as they are jurisdictional officers of company B, they can avail all the information from company B only. The invoice copy, the date of receipt, the goods receipt note, or the goods inward register, whatever they want to take, they can take from company B, but not from company A.
So what kind of response can be given by company A in this situation?
Company A can write letter to them, or whatever way they want to communicate. They can say that, sir, the questions which are coming up from your end are we fall under the particular jurisdiction, and since the questioners are coming from the other jurisdiction, we find it not appropriate to respond. Like that, you can give a response.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody has any other question, or we can? Okay, I think its time is also 7:40. Thank you, Bharat, for an excellent session. And as I told you, you made not only you covered only on the GST law, you just covered from the point of view of IPC and Evidence Act, and the section 159 also of the Indian Evidence Act also you have actually touched upon, and also brought about that the differences between letters, notices, summons, and other communication. That part also you made it very, very clear. And thank you so much for the excellent presentation. And I think with this we will conclude the meeting. Thank you all for participating. And going forward, we are planning to have the Monday sessions. Third week of Monday is planning to have that the monthly meetings. We will be informing you about the next speakers in short while through mail. Thank you all.